Hello.
We're good to go. Cool. All right. Everybody, let's get started. We're looking in John chapter 15 tonight. We are continuing our series called Crushed by Love. And Evan is dying. He's choking on some water.
Holy water.
I think he's trying to be as quiet as possible because we're recording this, but it's not necessary. We all die one day. John chapter 15. So, he's made it. He's alive.
Wait, what did you say?
About what?
What chapter?
John chapter 15.
Hey, flip right to it.
John chapter 15. It's been weird because as I've been looking at this message, I really don't remember anyone being like seeing stuff around me that was like, hey, go to this message, because I was really inspired by John chapter 2, and then I decided to keep on going with grapes and the idea of being pressured and crushed and how we're kind of like there's so much stress in life, there's so much paralyzing things in life. And as I started studying for this message, I started seeing John chapter 15 everywhere. Like the people I follow on Instagram, like little messages pop up here and there. I was like, really interesting. I was driving over here picking up Evan, and I was not looking at my phone while I was driving because people don't do that. And then I saw another one. I was like, this is insane. So I believe that God's doing something special. I believe that we see the Holy Spirit move like this all the time, where He is bringing the same truth to multiple places throughout His church. And I'm excited. Yes.
That's kind of like when you find a new word, you research it, or like you find a definition and suddenly it pops up like 20 times a day.
It's like brand new, and you're like, whoa, 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 whoa.
But that's like with my dad's sermons. Whenever we hear a sermon, it applies like the next day, or like soon after, you're like,
Yeah.
"That's 'cause God's talking."
God's doing something. So John chapter 15, I really believe this is going to be an impactful sermon. One of the greatest pressures in my life, and I hope this resonates with you, is the pressure to succeed, the pressure to be fruitful, the pressure to move forward. And people just, I guess, finished my sentence before I had a chance to, so I guess she feels the same way. Like, will my dreams come true? Will I be successful? Will things turn out right, okay for me? Will I move forward directly into the path that I want to? Like, are these things going to happen for me? Are these things possible? And so the stress of and the pressure of how do I be fruitful in life is kind of always there, I think, for a lot of people. Especially when we're moving into a new phase of life. It's like, is the new thing I'm going to step into going to work out for me? Or am I going to crash and burn and fail? And I think one thing we really need to learn as Christians is to be so hungry and ready for failure. You have to be ready for it. I want to show you a verse before we ever get started in John. We're going to start in John chapter 15, starting in verse 1. Before we do that, I want to take you over to something else. Verse 16 first. Verse 16 of chapter 15. It says, this is the very end of the section that we're going to be reading today. It says, you didn't choose me, I chose you. Listen to this. This is Jesus' appointment for you. I appointed you to go and produce lasting fruit, so that the Father will give you whatever you ask for using my name. This is my command. Love each other. Let me read that one more time, because I think this is like our go-to command verse for tonight. It says, you didn't choose me, I chose you. I appointed you to go and produce lasting fruit, so that the Father will give you whatever you ask for using my name. And this is my command. Love each other. So God has an appointment for you. It is to produce lasting fruit. I think one of the biggest pressures of this, will my life be fruitful endeavor, is the question is like, well, is this what I was meant to do? You know? Or am I just, does fate just have it out for me that I'm just going to be nothing for my entire life? But God has designed you and created you and appointed you to be fruitful. And sometimes we really just don't believe that. Sometimes like, God's appointed me to suffer. God's appointed me to be a servant. God's appointed me to not do anything great in my life. Maybe I'm just supposed to be here. But God has appointed you to produce lasting fruit. He designed you from the very ground up to produce lasting fruit. So we're going to talk about how that happens today. How can I produce lasting fruit? And Evan's going to stop poking that water bottle anytime now. He's going to sit up and focus on what we're talking about tonight. You ready, Evan? You have a Bible? Evan, do you have a Bible? Go grab one. Run. Go get one. Go get one for Peter too. John chapter 15, verse 1. John chapter 15, verse 1. I am the true grapevine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch of mine that doesn't produce fruit. He prunes the branches that do bear fruit so they will produce even more fruit. You have already been pruned and purified by the message I have given you. Remain in me, and I will remain in you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it is severed from the vine, and you cannot be fruitful unless you remain in me. Yes, I am the vine, and you are the branches. Those who remain in me and I in them will produce much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. Anyone who does not remain in me is thrown away like a useless branch and withers. Such branches are gathered into a pile to be burned. But if you remain in me and my words remain in you, you may ask for anything you want and it will be granted. Interesting word there. When you produce much fruit, you are my true disciples. This brings great glory to my Father. Pause there. When I was studying for this passage in this verse, I was kind of like, my mind was blown. Because as I read this, it kind of gets heady, doesn't it? It kind of gets hard to follow. You're like, what is he talking about here? What is the whole point of it? So I want to teach from this, but I want to teach verse by verse, because I think if I teach verse by verse, we're going to be going back and forth to different examples all night. And it's going to take us way longer than I'm hoping it for us to take, and help us to get drilled into our brains. One thing that Jesus says over and over again here in this first passage is he says, remain in me. Remain in me. This is Jesus' first step to producing lasting fruit. To living a fruitful life is remaining in Jesus. Now, the way that he describes this is that he's the vine. He's the living plant. And you are a branch on his vine. Now, if you don't produce fruit, you will be cut off. But if you do produce fruit, you know what's going to happen? You're going to get cut back. Those are the options. Cut off or cut back, but you're getting cut. Because what he says is that when you have fruit and you produce fruit, he's going to prune you. You know what pruning is? For people who've never touched a plant before, or whose parents never forced them to weed their parents. My parents have an extensive garden in their backyard, and they would send us out some days and just like, go weed. And we, of course, have no idea how to weed. We just go, and we rip off the plant, and the root would still be in there, we just grows right back. But they're like, just go out in the garden and just sweat and toil for a few hours. And we're like, all right, Mom, I'm at it. But where was I? I have no clue. When you prune something, you take a pair of shears and you go, I'm going to use my hand. This is the vine. These are the branches. If you're going to prune something, well, this has pruning some nice clusters on it. I'm going to cut it off. What happened? And then as soon as it grows back, whoop, another offshoot comes off of it, right? When a plant is pruned, it actually grows more. Have you ever been cut back in your life? You feel like you're moving at a good pace. You feel like life is going somewhere. You feel like you're doing great, and then you get cut back. And you're like, that was painful. Right? I feel like I'm in a place where I did have hope, and then now I'm hopeless. I feel like I was in a place where I did have peace, and now I don't have peace. And I used to have peace, and now I'm in chaos. Right? Sometimes God does these things because he's pruning you. He's taking you through a season of pruning because where you were once producing fruit, he wants you to produce even more fruit. The peace and the patience that you get from a season of chaos is going to be beautiful and wonderful and overflowing. And you need to understand that God has a plan for you. And the way to remain in Jesus is to be pruned. Did you know if you don't get pruned, what eventually happens is that you stop producing fruit? There's this, we just planted 2 hydrangea bushes in our front yard. We moved them from 2 pots. They had grown all summer, and then we put them in the ground. And one of them has this big cluster of, it used to be a dead flower on top. And they've just been there forever. And the one that we originally cut, we just cut off all the places, and then it's been growing up large. Like, new leaves are growing out, it looks fresh and alive. But the one with the dead flowers on top hasn't grown very much. So what I did was I'm cutting off the dead head of this flower, because it needs to grow like its sister. And so what the Bible says is that if you're not growing, if there are places in you that are not growing, I'm going to cut them off. I'm going to cut them off. Because when Jesus wants you to, when Jesus sees something in you that needs to die, that needs to go away forever, that needs to not be pruned but needs to be cut off, he's out to cut it off. And you know what you want to do? But that's the flower part. Just leave it all. That's the best part of my face. That's the best part of my life. That's the best part of me. Don't cut that, Jesus. That's what makes me who I am. Your identity can be all messed up in some things. Did you know when David goes to fight Goliath, and then Saul's like, here, take my armor. So David put Saul's armor on, and it doesn't fit right. Right? What Saul's armor would do for Saul is Saul's armor would protect him, would give him an ability in battle that he didn't have before. But when David puts on Saul's armor, it actually is a detriment to David. It was too big. It would be a detriment to David. Where something would protect Saul, it wouldn't protect David. You know, sometimes we try and do things that make us look like other people. We try and take someone else's identity. We try and put someone else's armor on. And where it would protect them, it's going to be a detriment to you. You need to realize that God wants to cut all the pretending out of your life. Where are you pretending to be something? Where do you have a mask on that God wants to just snip the little elastic part of the mask so it falls off onto the ground? And this is who I really am. This is who I really am. Because God doesn't want you to pretend anymore. Is everything tracking? Who's this helping? Good. So first part of producing fruit in life. Do you notice that this kind of fruit we're talking about is not money, right? Because God cares about your financial situation. God cares about the people around you. God cares about a lot of things in your life. But what he cares about most is you producing lasting fruit. And this kind of fruit is heavenly fruit. It's salvation fruit. It's miracle fruit. It's people coming to know Jesus for the first time fruit. It's people coming to see your love, and because they're seeing your love, they're seeing God for the first time fruit. And so this time, it's time to start remaining in Jesus. Where in your life have you been refusing your pruning? You said, God, I'm not consenting to this. Don't prune me. Don't cut me back. Don't hurt me there. I don't want to be cut there, so I don't want to grow there. Sometimes it takes a little cut to cause you to grow. And you can't remain in Jesus unless you're willing to be pruned. Here's one more thing about remaining before we move on. Do you know, in Genesis, it says that God created the sea. And then he filled the sea with fish. And then it said God created the sky, and he filled the sky with birds. And God created the heavens, and he filled the heavens with stars and sun and moon. And then it said God created man. And then he filled man with his breath. And let me tell you this. When you take the fish out of the water, what happens? It malfunctions and it dies. What happens when you take the bird out of the air? It malfunctions and it dies. What happens when you take a star out of the sky? It malfunctions and it dies. What happens when you take the breath of the living God out of you? You malfunction. You start doing crazy things, and you start living a life of death. Jesus says, remain in me and I will remain in you. Remain in me and I will remain in you. Remain in me and I will remain in you. You breathe Jesus in, you're going to breathe Jesus out. If you are a branch connected to his vine, you are going to constantly get that life force, that life source, that power from Jesus that he has for you. But if you decide, hey, I'm better off on my own, you're going to cut yourself off. One last thing before I'll take a question after this. Last thing before we move on. When you first cut off a branch, what happened? What does it look like? when you cut off a branch, at first it still looks alive, right? If you cut off a branch and it's alive, it'll still have leaves on it, it might still have fruit on it, and you'll set it down, and you just leave it there for a while. And then after a while it just gets old and dead and dry, and it has none of the life it had before. Some people are freshly cut off. Your life may be freshly cut off. You need to be aware that just because you look alive to other people, just because you're pretending to be alive to other people, does not mean you are laying alone, all by yourself, apart from the vine. Jesus says, remain in me. This is how you're going to produce fruit in your life. Yes?
About the thing where you cut off yourself to like grow in that place.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me, my parents said I had a phone addiction, so they took away my phone for,
Some time?
some time. And took away.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever lost your phone on purpose? Have you ever said, I'm going to put this phone thing away for a little bit? And because when you do that, when you put away this technology, when you put away whatever the thing that needs to be cut off is, you start to grow in some way that you never expected.
Exactly. Like you actually go outside, and you're like, wow, I appreciate my life more than
Yes. The phone addiction can be cut off.
especially if you cut off people that you thought were good friends. Yeah.
Some of you have some phone numbers you need to cut off, right? You got some friends that you like snip. You have friends who never appreciate you. You have friends who never encourage you, who never love you, who never say, hey, thank you. So, who never hold the door open, just common sense manners kinds of things. And you're like, you need some new friends. Let's keep going though. We're going to talk about friends in a bit. Look at verse 9. It says, I have loved you even as the Father has loved me. Ready for the second part? First one is remain in me. Second one is remain in my love. I have loved you even as the Father has loved me. Remain in my love. When you obey my commandments, you remain in my love. Just as I obey my Father's commandments and remain in his love. I have told you these things so that you will be filled with my joy. Yes, your joy will overflow. This is my commandment. Love each other in the same way I have loved you. Second commandment. Second part of how to have a fruitful life. Remain in the love of Jesus. When I first read this, I was like, this is very similar to the first one. Remain in me. Remain in my love. Right? Don't they sound kind of similar? They feel kind of similar. They're completely different. Remaining in Jesus, you can be with Jesus, you can